Well, hello everyone. My name is Chela Saya, and I am a study abroad advisor at UW-Stout's Office of International Education. And in fact, I am the advisor that will be working with you if you're interested in pursuing the National Student Exchange. And I would be representing you at the placement conference that I'm sure our guest today, David Holliday, will be speaking about. Just a few housekeeping items. We are recording the session, and if you are not comfortable with that, then I want to let you know that we will be making the recording available through our Canvas homepage for this Study Abroad Fair later this week. If you have questions, wonderful. That's why we wanted you to come today. Please feel free to type them into the chat, and I'll keep an eye on that for David, and otherwise later we can have a session of questions, and you can turn on your microphone if you wish or continue typing them into the chat. All right, finally, while David is giving the initial part of his presentation, it'd probably be helpful for everybody to keep their microphones on mute just to preserve the sound quality for everyone and the recording. But with that, I would like to turn it over to David.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Chela, for having me. My name is David Holliday. I'm the Vice President of the National Student Exchange. We're a nonprofit organization. We're based in Iowa, and I'm actually based at the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities. I'm over here in Minneapolis, so not too far away. I'm a big fan of Wisconsin. My spouse grew up outside Milwaukee. So thanks a lot for being here today. I'm going to talk to you about the National Student Exchange. I have a few slides here that I'll present. And I'm also going to take you to the website because there's a lot of great information on the website. I want to make sure to, you know, where to go for more information. And then, yes, there'll be plenty of time for question and answers here towards the end. So we are called the National Student Exchange. We primarily focus on domestic exchange, so sending you to another campus within the United States. That includes Puerto Rico, Guam, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. But we also included Canada. About 15 years ago, we added Canadian institutions. So we do have that international component. So this is more of an exchange within North America. Perhaps you've looked at other study abroad programs going further away than what we provide. So we provide domestic study away within the U.S., Guam, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, and Canada. We have about 170 campuses that are available to you for exchange. And there are a huge variety of campuses. So we have some of the top research universities that are part of U.S. and Canadian higher education. We have smaller public liberal arts colleges. We have private colleges that are part of NSE. We have polytechnics. I believe Stout is a polytechnic university. We have land grants, space grants, seed grants, some grant universities. These are kind of more focused on the research focus of that campus. We have campuses that offer much greater diversity than we typically have in Minnesota and Wisconsin. We have HBCUs. Those are historically Black colleges and universities. We also have HSIs. These are Hispanic serving institutions. Both HBCUs and HSIs, this is a federal government designation. They typically have 50% or greater student population that are attending that campus. We also have Anapeasy campuses. These are Asian American, Native American, Pacific Islander serving schools. So if you're looking for a more diverse campus, NSE has them. There are opportunities for language immersion throughout NSE. We have 4 campuses in Quebec, Canada. 3 of them are French speaking, so you have to have some basic French proficiency to go. Although at least one of the campuses has a French as a second language program for students that are less advanced in French language. We also have campuses in Puerto Rico. We have 11 campuses in Puerto Rico, which is an island in the Caribbean, beautiful, warm weather, where the language of instruction for most classes is Spanish. Not all classes, but most classes. We have small campuses all the way up to large campuses. The smallest NSE school we have is about 600 students, whereas the largest is about 54,000. The U of M, where I am, is the second biggest. Florida International University in Miami is actually the largest NSE campus. We have schools in small towns. We have schools in big cities. A lot of students coming from smaller towns like Stout oftentimes go to bigger cities. We have schools in New York, Los Angeles, Miami, the Houston metro area, and other big cities as well. We also have campuses on the beach or close to the beach. as well as schools and mountains and everywhere in between. So some students looking for just a different geographic location can find those through NSE. And we have schools that have big time Division I sports. We have Louisiana State University, University of Alabama, University of South Carolina, some schools that have top Division I sports teams focusing on football, of course, but other opportunities if you're really interested in collegiate sports. So you might be wondering, why would you want to do NSE? The benefits of studying abroad are so clear, and they're well advertised and very, very clear to most students. So the benefits of NSE might be a little bit harder to grasp. So first of all, we have a lot of academic opportunities. We're an academic exchange. We send you to other US colleges and universities as well as in Canada. So first of all, you can gain new academic perspectives. So courses are taught based on the geographic location that they are based in. And so classes you take at Stout are going to be taught in a different way if you go on exchange to a different campus. You can multiply your course access. Just imagine the number of courses that you can take through the consortium of 170 campuses. The example I usually give is marine biology. We actually have a marine biology program here at the University of Minnesota, but we're about as far away from an ocean as you can get. And so our students in that program and the faculty in that program really like to send their students to campuses on the coast, especially in California, Hawaii, and even Alaska has some great marine biology programs. You can take honors courses through NSE as well. There's a lot of personal opportunities and personal benefits to NSE as well. First of all, this is a chance to broaden your personal experience. Many of you probably grew up in the Midwest or grew up in Wisconsin or Minnesota. This is a chance to expand your horizons, develop some independence. You can appreciate new cultures. The US and Canada is such a huge, vast location. Culturally, we're very different from region to region, even state to state. So you can explore geographic regions, maybe that you've been to in the past that you'd like to go back to, or explore a new place you've never been to before. And then there's some real tangible professional opportunities as well. You can investigate graduate schools. Maybe you're thinking about grad school in the future. Why not spend a semester there through NSE at that school, or maybe in the city or the region the school is located at, to make some connections, see if that's a place you want to apply in the future. You can seek future employment. So same thing, looking at different job markets. Maybe you want to move to a coast or a different city after graduation from Stout. This is a chance to do that and network in a city even before you graduate. You can build your personal network. You can do research and internships through NSE as well. I send students to the New York metro area every year. One of the schools there, New Jersey City University, which is 3 subway stops away from Manhattan. They will help every single NSE student find an internship. And so I've had students who do internships in New York mostly through the NSE program. And then it's important to know that NSE serves all students. We welcome international students. If you're an international student at Stout, why not take advantage of NSE to explore another part of the US? DACA students are welcome to participate in NSE as well. And then NSE is really great for students who don't typically study abroad. So maybe you're not able to study abroad or aren't interested in studying abroad, and studying closer to home within the US or Canada may be more appealing. So that's why NSE exists. One of the real main benefits of NSE is its affordability. One of the number one barriers that students say when they're thinking about study away or study abroad is it's too expensive. Well, in NSE's case, NSE is very affordable. The way that UW-Stout operates with NSE is you would continue to pay UW-Stout tuition while you're on exchange. This is called home payment, or sometimes on the website you'll see reference to Plan B. So you literally pay UW-Stout tuition while you go on exchange. And Chella, correct me if I'm wrong on any of these statements, but I think they're true.
Yeah.
UW-Stout also, students also receive your full financial aid package while on exchange. There might be limited exceptions with scholarships and things, but certainly federal and state aid, I think, is definitely going to go with you on exchange. The other expenses you need to anticipate, room and board. So typically students live on campus at their host destination, host campus. Almost every NSE school offers on-campus housing, so we recommend that. But in most cases, you can also choose to live off campus, especially if you have friends or family in the area or want to live off campus. Other expenses you should think about are course fees. if you're taking a science lab class or something at that host school, you may have to pay their course fees. Other miscellaneous fees to their host campus, many of these are going to be listed on that NSE school's campus profile that we'll look at next. Things like parking, other consumables, things that you'll be using while you're on campus, you may have to pay for those, of course. But the main expense to think about would be room and board. And then transportation. So NSE is not a kind of package deal program where we buy plane tickets for you and fly you out to your host destination. This is a pretty independent program. You are placed, Cella will help you get placed at your NSE school. You'll have a contact at that school that will help prepare you to exchange there. They're going to tell you what day to arrive to campus. Oftentimes it's based on when you can move into the residence halls. And then you buy your plane ticket or your bus ticket or train or drive. That's the other benefit of NSE is many of these locations you can drive to. The other thing I wanted to mention about affordability that I think is really important is, especially if you stay within the US, which includes Guam, Puerto Rico, US Virgin Islands, is you can continue to work. If you have a job now, you rely on that income to pay for college. You can continue to work, of course. You're not dealing with visas and restrictions in terms of traveling to a different country. The one slide that I thought I had here, but maybe it's disappeared, is academics. So as I said earlier, NSE is an academic exchange. You must be enrolled full-time at your host school. That typically is 12 credits minimum. And you would register for classes working with that host campus to get into the registration queue and to register for classes. But really you need to be working with Cella, but also with your academic advisor at Stout. They'll help you determine what school it may be the best fit for you, especially if you have to look at accreditations and comparable programs and things like that. They might help you identify what term to go on exchange. NSE students can go on exchange their sophomore, junior, or senior year typically, but we recommend sophomore and junior years typically. So you'd work with your advisor to find courses that will transfer back into your degree program. We fully intend NSE to keep you on track to graduate, and it's usually possible with some work, some legwork on your end. The last thing I'm going to have here is actually a YouTube video that I think I have to stop my share in order to access the link.
David, when you share that, make sure in the tray that you mark that you want to include system sound.
Okay, sounds great.
A little check mark on the top left.
Sounds great. Okay, I'm going to find the video. Again, I thought I had embedded it in the PowerPoints, but things always go wrong.
Well, while you're looking at that, oh, Claire, did you have a question?
No, I'm good. Thank you, though.
Oh, okay, I thought I heard something. How's it going, David?
Let's see. I'm needing to go back to the meeting. I think I need to stop my share and then open share again.
While you're getting that set up, just a reminder to all of you, thank you so much for being here. Please feel free to type a question into the chat bar if you like, or raise your hand. We love questions.
Yes, we do, certainly. Okay, you know what, I'm just gonna switch here and just open up the website at this point. Am I showing the website right now, Sheila?
Yes. Yep, looks good.
So the website is really packed full of information, and so I like to make sure that I just give you some basic tips on how to navigate the website. First of all, I really recommend that you follow NSE on social media. We have a pretty active presence on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Our YouTube channel especially, we have a lot of great videos there, both some just general promo videos, one I was going to try to show you, but also a lot of student-generated content. We hire student vloggers most semesters that their videos are posted to YouTube. We also have a blog that you should read about students' experiences. We had a lot of great content from last spring as students were dealing with COVID while on exchange. The campuses, the main probably interest you have is where can you go on exchange? So under campuses, You can filter by all campuses, by current availability. So this will show available campuses for spring 2021. There are still exchange opportunities available through NSE. But I'm going to go down here to the map. This is kind of a fun interactive map. You can zoom in and out. This shows all of the NSE destinations. So as you can see, we are consolidated in North America, although we do have campuses in Hawaii and Guam. Guam is about a 3-hour flight away from Tokyo today. I searched that with another student that was interested in going to Guam. And then you can zoom in on a particular region of the country that you may be interested in, but there's also some filters here. So you can filter by location, by metro populations. Perhaps you want to go to a smaller town or a big city. You can filter by programs of study. So find a school that offers your major if you need to take major classes. Filter by payment plans. Your campus operates only under home payment, Plan B. Filter by campus size. And then institution type. So some of these, those types of institutions I mentioned earlier, you can filter and look just at those specific campuses. So I'm going to, let's look at University of New Mexico. It's one of my favorite campuses. I send quite a few students there every semester, and they have a really great experience in Albuquerque. So when you're looking at a campus profile, you'll see some great photos. Sometimes there's a video embedded that you can watch. I'm going to talk about these boxes over here in a little bit. You can read some features of the campus. There's just basic narrative about the campus and the location, fast facts about the location, the enrollment of the size of the school, the diversity of the campus. And then these tabs are really critical for you to read. Academics is important for you to look at to see, first of all, when you register. This details registration priority. At this campus, you register after campus students. So that really indicates to you that you should have some flexibility because you register late. And so if you were a senior or a student having really specific course requirements, this might not be the best school for you. You can also look at conditions. These are eligibility requirements, other preferences and requirements for students coming there. Tuition and fees, this details how tuition works essentially for your campus. And this makes it plain as day. You do not pay tuition to the host campus under home payment because you continue to pay tuition to Stout while you're on exchange. But what you will see here are some of the miscellaneous fees that you may have to pay. They're either mandatory or optional if you went to that school on exchange. Financial aid info, this is very clear as well. Your financial aid is awarded by and dispersed from your home campus. You'll see basic room and meal information as well. This is intended to give you a real quick snapshot into how much it's going to cost if you live on campus. So this is the average, the most common option for NSE students to live in a double dorm room. This is the cost, including a meal plan. So we really try to be transparent to make sure that you see all the possible costs, especially money is a big factor, of course. So we want to make sure you're aware of all the potential costs that you would incur if you went to a particular campus. And then health insurance. Some campuses will require health insurance, others will not, but this usually includes basic info, although this one is blank. So I think I'm going to stop talking to you at this point, and I'm going to open it up for questions.
So David, we did have a question in the chat that I started to answer, but
Okay.
I wanted to share it. So one student asked, are there any national student exchange colleges with good video game design programs? It certainly is a star program here at UW-Stout.
Yeah.
So what I was just sharing is that you can go to the website where you are, hover over the campuses, choose majors.
Yeah.
And then the major I typed in was computer game design. Is that what you would say is the closest for video game design?
I would say so. Yes. So we're under campuses, majors. Yes. So we have a text search here that you can play around with a little bit. So some terms that you type in, maybe nothing will show, but computer game design is probably the closest, I would say. So you're actually listed under that. So so I would say that these other schools, offer similar types of programs. Now, of course, especially in a major like this that is really unique, it's not offered very many places. What you would want to do is, of course, visit that campus's website and search for that degree program for that major at that school. Look at what courses are offered, and then, of course, share that website or share that list of courses with your advisor at Stout to make sure that courses are transferable back to your campus. So, so I should say I'm not an expert on all the NSE campuses. I do send a lot of students on exchange from my campus, U of M, and I am familiar with a lot of schools, but definitely when it comes to academic specialties and things like that, I'm not the expert. And so doing a search for majors like this to see the schools that are listed, and then doing your own research is really recommended. And your advisor or your instructors and faculty might also be able to point you in the right direction. You could present them with this list. They probably know these programs and if they are comparable to yours or not.
That's a good suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if anybody has any other questions, feel free to type it into the chat or turn on your microphone at this point.
From Stout, do you guys ever have a manufacturing engineering degree major students go? Because I couldn't find it on the website, but I know that a lot of my classes are the same as somebody in mechanical engineering, which I know they do have. So
yeah. So Chella might be able to answer your first question, whether there have been Stout students with that major that have gone on exchange. So I'm not sure about that, but yes. So that is the tricky part with NSE, is that we try to cover as many majors, as many degree programs as possible, but there's so many unique programs out there and unique names of programs. So as you pointed out, manufacturing engineering, there might be enough crossover with mechanical engineering that this would be the list of schools to start with, at least. And again, I would encourage you to engage your academic advisor and your professors as well, because again, they might be familiar with these programs. Here at the U of M, it's really interesting. I have students who will go and talk to their faculty or their academic advisor, and that person studied, they got their master's or their PhD at another NSE campus, and they're very familiar with that academic program, of course. And so then sort of the transfer of credit becomes much easier.
Just to jump in, I'm not aware offhand of one, but I've only been here now less than a year. So I could definitely look through our past applicants. So I'd encourage you to follow up with me at our office. You can email me personally. I'll type my email into the chat box, and I can definitely check that out for you. But I think David's suggestion is a very good one to look at some other variations of engineering. And, you can also consider, having a combination of perhaps engineering courses and also some of your gen eds as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. And again, I'll put on my NSE advising hat for U of M, for University of Minnesota students. There are some degree programs that are a little bit trickier than others to do NSE or to study abroad, especially those programs that are really rigid in terms of taking specific courses during specific terms. And so I have run across departments and majors here that it's just really not possible to do a program like this. In that case, there are some short-term options. NSE does offer summer exchange. I'm not sure if Stout allows students to go for summer, but that's an option. But I'll also point out that NSE is easier for programs that are pretty rigid like this, or that have really strict requirements, because so many of these campuses have the same accreditations, are based on the same format of courses, that it's very easy to find comparable courses at another NSE school to keep you on track to graduate. But I always recommend my students to identify a term ideally in their college career, where they have some flexibility, where they can take their liberal education or general education requirements, take some elective courses, and then, maybe if possible, you can fit in a major or minor class, then that works too. Not to say that you can't take major and minor classes on NSE as well. I've had seniors go on exchange. On my campus, we allow seniors to go one semester of their senior year, where they have very strict requirements, and it works as well to do NSE. Just takes more careful planning.
We had a student who was supposed to go this current year during his senior year, and I think one really cool benefit of going then is that he had very strategically chosen this school. He was going to be in LA because he knew he wanted to seek out an internship and hopefully a job in that area to ultimately move there following graduation.
Yeah, I've had students do that as well. And I really love that use of NSE. So use NSE as sort of a springboard into your future, whether it's grad school or different job markets. And if yes, you can time it at the very end of your college career, that works especially well.
Any other questions?
The one other thing I want to talk about, and of course, a lot of this is based on your campus policies and procedures and restrictions and things, but we're all dealing with COVID-19 and the pandemic. NSE exchanges are still happening. This fall, we have students on exchange. In some cases, those are virtual exchanges, taking classes online, not even relocating to that other school. But for spring semester, we expect that to be kind of the same, where exchanges will happen, but they're going to look pretty different. So, what I encourage you to do is make sure you're communicating closely with Chella and other folks in your international ed office there, to understand what restrictions are in place for travel and exchange, because sometimes NSE is included in those restrictions, other times they're not. And we hope, of course, by next fall 2021, spring 2022, that things will return to normal. And exchange and mobility and all of that will happen as normal. But I do encourage you to make sure you're paying close attention to your university's policies and all of that, as well as monitor the NSE website. We are trying to keep up to date information on campuses and what campuses are doing. There's actually a link at the very bottom of our website that says COVID-19, and there's a link. We have not updated it yet for spring semester yet, but there's a link for campus updates. So you can see what schools have decided to do completely online learning, hybrid, or in-person classes. That's an option that you can explore to look at what is happening this fall, but then we'll also soon be adding information about spring semester there.
So I would just add that we do have several students on exchange currently, one in South Carolina, another in Rhode Island, and one in Iowa. And we have another going on to Utah in spring. I think during this time, one thing we worked very closely with these students to make sure they had sort of a plan A and a plan B. Their plan A was, of course, they really were excited about going on exchange, but we also put a plan B in place. And what that meant was registering for Stout classes for the semester they were going to be on exchange until they absolutely knew that the placement was going to happen. So then that way they weren't sort of left in a lurch without classes, spots in classes, and also encouraging them to make sure they had housing backup as well. Yeah. But a great thing that I'm so glad that you all are here, because really at both studying away and studying abroad, it's good to start thinking ahead. And so the next big deadline that we have is February 15th, which would be the deadline if you were wanting to apply to go on NSE for either fall of 2021 or spring of 2021, or both.
Yeah, that's my deadline as well on my campus for next academic year as well. Well, I can hang out here if anybody has questions. Otherwise, I really appreciate you being here tonight. This is the latest info session I've ever been part of, which is great. We're all sitting at home, and so this works great. It's not like I had to come back to campus for this. My parting message is always, I love NSE. I work for NSE and believe in the program. But I really believe in the power of kind of experiential education, getting outside your comfort zone, and whether that's doing NSE or study abroad or finding an internship, maybe outside of Wisconsin or elsewhere. It's great that you're researching these options, you're exploring these options. Find the right one for you. It is definitely possible. So many students I meet with their senior year, and they say, I just wish I would have done something, but they were so focused on their coursework and making friends and getting involved in campus, and they forgot about all the extra stuff that's out there that's possible. There are affordable opportunities. There are opportunities that will keep you on track to graduate. Those are two very important factors when you're considering your options. And I hope that you'll think about NSE as an option for you in the future.
Please feel free to jump in if you have any questions. Any final questions? And then I have one other question for you, David, that I thought of.
Sounds great.
David, could you talk just a bit about linked placements? Because I think that's something that's so exciting that I think a lot of students get excited about.
Yeah, you bet. Linked exchanges, linked placements basically mean you go on an exchange with a friend or with multiple friends. And what you would do is work with Chella when you're completing your NSE application and when she's requesting placement for you. Your applications are actually linked. And so that means you're guaranteed to go together. And hopefully that's your first choice campus, but it could be a backup school, especially if your first choice is more competitive. So I definitely encourage students to think about NSE, think about going on exchange with a friend, both because it's more fun to have somebody that you know and that you like to travel with and go on exchange with. But it is a great option to pursue. And so basically, like I said, you're gonna go on exchange together when you're linked. And so what you want to be careful with is to make sure that both of you are serious about the exchange, both of you are eligible as well, and that you submit completed applications, because one person potentially could hold the other person back when it comes to the application and placement. But I also want to clarify that if you're linked, it doesn't mean that one of you can't change your mind. So if for some reason something came up and one of you decided you can no longer go on exchange, the other person can still go. You would just simply cancel your exchange. But at the time of application and placement, your applications are linked.
Great. Thanks, David.
You bet.
Any other final questions? All right. Well, I want to thank you, David, and to all of the students who joined us so late this evening. I really appreciate it. And I just want to encourage you to contact our office. You can email us again at studyabroad@uwstout.edu. You can go to our website, which is uwstout.studioabroad.com. Oh, sorry, .edu. And we would love to work with you. So thank you so much and have a good evening.
Thanks for having me, Chella.
Thank you.